We're talking TV, comics and movies, and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek from Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, one ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
And if you're driving around the greater St. Louis area tonight, hearing us on the Big 550 KTRS, celebrating 25 years on the air, thank you very much for tuning in. If you're streaming us on Instagram or on YouTube or Twitch or Facebook, thank you very much for tuning in there and watching us. If you're hearing us after the fact in the podcast form, wherever you get your podcast from, be it Google or Apple Tunes or whatever you get them from, thank you very much for finding us there and subscribing. We have a full show, so we're going to dive right in. I was delighted when I saw her name pop up on the feed for the list of featured films coming to SLIFF. And I was like, oh my gosh, is that the same Paula? And of course it was. Paula Rhodes, how are you?
It has been a minute.
It's been a while. Dakota's North. I was like, oh my gosh. And I was just telling my executive producer, Joey, I said, I remember Paula was at the hostess stand and I was waiting tables and we were slow. She was beaming about how she was going to be in Little Abner at Hazelwood Central. And that was,
my.
And I could tell them, I'm like, she's going to make it big. She's just got that personality for it. So this is so cool to now have you back talking about a movie you wrote, you produced, you directed, you acted in. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really quite an exciting homecoming. I've been to the St. Louis International Film Fest before with my first lead in a feature film, so this will be my first time wearing the director's hat back for it, and I am over the moon. It's going to be super, super fun. The 20th, I believe, next Saturday.
Yes, that's right. Coming up very quickly at the Tivoli, and we're going to put a link in the show notes if you're listening right now and you want to find where you can see it. I think they're doing it videoly. Listen to me, I can't even talk. They're doing it online as well as in person at the Tivoli, which will you be able to fly in? Or are you coming in for this?
I am, yes.
Cool.
I guess air traffic willing. I have a ticket. I am planning to be there for the weekend, and I'm super excited. There's so many people, blast from the past, that are deciding to come out, and I hope even more do. It'll be really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the last time we were here was just acting not enough? You decided you're going to make it harder on yourself and direct and write and produce and everything else too? Was that the...
Yeah. Basically, I hate free time.
I understand.
It all kind of started when I first, my husband and I first got pregnant, and I started to see auditions kind of dwindle, as they do a bit then. And I got really nervous, as that's such a big part of my life and how I define myself, if I was going to be able to still work. And, life-changing events, they do that too, make you examine things. And my husband just kind of threw out, why don't you just make a movie? And he might have lived to regret it, but I definitely ran with that one. So I kind of looked around at what was really occupying my mind right then and what we had creatively and talent-wise around us. And I noticed, well, obviously, pregnancy is big on my mind right now. And it was the first time that I'd really faced the odd mortality that comes with that, having been relatively healthy the most of my life. You're not guaranteed to make it through it. Every single one of us knows someone who's had, traumatic or tragic pregnancy. So it was a first for me. And then realizing that social media and mainstream media were starting to toss around this term back in 2015, mind you. Takes a while to do posts when you have small ones. The Civil War. And they were kind of doing it really irresponsibly and offhandedly, as if it were something to be threatened or dared or like breathlessly hoped for. And I decided to run with those two topics because no matter where people fall on any spectrum, Civil War shouldn't be something that we're all rooting for. So I decided to humanize that as women, children. A lot of us are the first ones that end up feeling the first and the worst stings of war. So yeah. I made a docufiction. I had no idea so much of my brainstorm would come true. A lot of the things that were just Post-it notes on my idea board kept becoming real life. And we would sort of, I guess, ambulance chase in a way where we'd go out and film this scene or another scene, and things that I thought were going to have to be VFX often just became guerrilla shoots. But but I'm really proud of it and proud of how it came together. We had our premiere at the Chinese Theater at Dances with Films in Hollywood, and it was fantastic. We ended up winning the Audience Choice Award.
Yay! Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's so cool.
And I had a lot of my Resident Evil castmates come out to support us, so we had a lot of the fans from that, which is a wonderful, odd crossover.
Really?
It's a fun community, but yeah, it's been a heck of a year. So I'm excited to see how we finish strong.
Yeah, that's it's amazing. And so how far along in the pregnancy were you when you figured, okay, let's do this? Or was it already in your mind germinating and it was right out of the gate? Or what was the shoot time? We know how long pregnancy is. Usually it's 9 months, but shoot time, how long was that?
It's like 10, honestly. Like when you add it up, I got very upset finding that out. I was like, hang on, 40 weeks.
Wait a minute.
It's 10 months, everybody. But yes, we found out probably around 8 weeks that we were actually pregnant. And that's about the same week or so that we started to be like, well, I started to scramble and panic and be like, oh, what can we do? And we had this idea. So we got a really cool dummy-proof camera, the Samsung NX1, if you want to geek out at some cool, easy peasy 4K footage of your own. And we started filming and just kind of started piecing it together. And by week 10, I think pregnancy-wise, we'd come up with a basic outline and we're really running with it.
Mm-hmm.
So we shot all through that pregnancy. And then if I'm being honest, we got some pickup shots with our surprise second pregnancy that came right after.
Wow.
And then as things progressed nation-wise, we would continue to get little bits here and there. And the last shot we got was right after COVID closed everything down. And we got some shots of just completely empty shelves in stores to insert. So I'm getting such wonderful feedback from this, and people often say it's incredibly tense and really eye-opening, and I can't wait to see what everybody else says.
It's hard to imagine, back when you and I first met in the late 90s, I guess, that we'd be living. Yeah, I mean,
it was probably like a year or two ago, right?
10, I think, the late 90s, that was 10 years ago by my calculations, but give or take. But it's hard to think that we'd be in a world now. I mean, The Simpsons predicted Donald Trump as president, so right. Matt Groening knew. But regardless of political landscape, that we'd be going through a pandemic, it almost seems like, I don't want to say this was the perfect time for you to shoot this movie, but at the same time, the pandemic could be a character in the movie. It's very fascinating that you had this kind of crucible in which to film all these things happening and just made for the perfect storm.
Wild. And in truth, everything was filmed by the time things got really crazy as of, summer of 2020. But what we had gotten was off of an early edit. We'd been chosen by the Chimera Project and Slam Dance for a debut here in Hollywood. And I was over the moon, super excited, gunning for that. I don't know that I would have made it because it was a slightly impossible schedule, but we were going to try and to get our VFX and everything done. And then everything went 2020. So I took that year, thankfully, to really polish it up and get the right VFX done by an amazing powerhouse of a man. Big Dave is what he goes by, but Dave Mady, who you probably know from Better Call Saul, or there's all sorts of, he's in everything. He's like 6'15". Is that we're going to put 15 inches in one foot.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that'll work.
Yes, he's just a huge human with as much huge talent. So I did all of our VFX for us, and they're fantastic. And do the ADR and the sound design, which is so important when building out a world around you. And it was a crazy year to do that, separated as opposed to the close collaborations that you usually have with filmmaking, but it was really fun. And then when we started to get the actual announcements that we would be showing places, it's been surreal, I guess is the word, but it's really, really quite exciting. I can't wait to share it with so many people in St. Louis.
The fact that it's going to be here at the Tivoli, it's almost perfect that you're able to come home and showcase your work right here for all the local people.
Yes, including, I think we have another Hazelwood Central hawk, if you will. Jade Heineman played a quick role for me. She's now a broadcast or an anchor in San Diego, but I had her send me a video that I ended up using in the footage. So we're folding in all sorts of Missouri love.
That's perfect. We love that. And again, if you're just now tuning in, we're talking to Paula Rhodes about her film Delicate State, which will be Saturday, November the 20th at 2 p.m. at the Tivoli, and also you can see it online. Are you okay to hold with me while I take a quick break?
Let's do it.
All right, we're going to come right back. We'll chat more with Paula Rhodes about her movie after this. Please stand by.
We won't be safe 100 of 100.
100 the Conqueror, Max Steel the Leader, Wrecker the Demolisher, each sold separately. New from Ideal's RoboForce.
Long ago at Rose Petal Place, Orchid met Nastina, the evil spider. Dolls sold separately.
Oh, no, Orchid, it's Nastina. Wait till I tiptoe through your tulips, Rose Petal. Watch out, Nastina. The sky is falling. I won't fall for that. Gotcha. That'll keep her in her place.
Rose Petal, Nastina, and Orchid dolls come with all you see here, each sold separately. New from Canada.
Seaweed's Tropicals.
It's Kenner's Seaweed's Tropicals. Camille, Baby Cascade, and Pelly Pelican. She's tan, has pretty blue hair you can comb, and looks cute in a little grass skirt. You can collect Flora Tropical, Baby Finella, and Little Dog de Bloom.
Seaweed's Tropicals.
Seaweed's Tropicals, Camille, Baby Cascade, and Pelly. Other Seaweed's Tropicals sold separately.
Introducing the new Play-Doh Mop Top Hair Shop.
Well, they're the mop tops, the Play-Doh mop tops. Just turn the chair.
They grow Play-Doh hair.
They're the mop tops,
You can comb it, wave it, style it, or shave it.
the Play-Doh mop tops.
You can let it grow down to his toes.
They're the mop tops,
From the Play-Doh Mop Top
hair shop.
The Play-Doh Mop.
Hey, this is Yuri Lowenthal, but you may know me recently as Peter Parker / Spider-Man. And you're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
Welcome back to Geek to Me Radio. Want to mention our premier sponsor, the Greater St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau. You might know them from the website we always talk about, discoverstcharles.com. They just wrapped up their hugely successful Halloween festival that went on in October, and they're already putting out the Christmas lights. They're trimming the trees. They're getting everything ready for Christmas. So their big Christmas festival, Christmas Traditions, the longest-running, largest Christmas festival in the country, takes place starting the day after. I got my calendar right here, actually. It'll start on November 26th and go until the day after Christmas. You can interact with international gift givers from around the world. You can talk to Bob Cratchit and Tiny Tim, who are out there running around, Ebenezer Scrooge. You can get chestnuts roasted over an open fire, all sorts of Victorian picturesque Christmas things that you can actually bring to life right there along Main Street. And the other thing we always like to point out is this is an area that's made up of small businesses. So nothing is more important during these times than supporting small business. So get out there. You can start on the website, discoverstcharles.com, to kind of look and see what there is. From food that you wouldn't believe, you can get cocktails at Tompkins House, dinner at Salt and Smoke. There's something to fit every taste. All these local places will have great gifts that you can give, that very unique gifts that you won't find anywhere else at the big box store. So get out there, support your local businesses. If you're maybe from out of town, like Paula, who is in California right now, and she's going to come visit, she might want to check out St. Charles as well. And if you want to stay somewhere out there, there's bed and breakfasts, there's hotels with 5-star accommodations, all sorts of places to fit any budget, any taste. So check out the website, plan your trip, whether you're local or from out of town, discoverstcharles.com. We always say it's an historically good time. Chatting for this next segment with Paula Rhodes, actor, writer, director, producer, and your eyes lit up when you heard Yuri Lowenthal's voice. He's actually in your film, which I thought was so cool.
He is. He and his wife Tara are some of my best friends out here, and he's such a wonderfully gifted human and wonderful human that you can't help but cheer for Yuri. But yes, you know him. He's in all the things right now. I heard him in Arcane the other night, the new Netflix movie or series. And what, a He-Man? He's He-Man.
Yep, he's
like
literally He-Man. That's
Spider-Man,
amazing.
He-Man, anything with a man.
Right. But it's so cool that you had and Glenn Morshower, who I've met before, and he's such an interesting dude to talk about his acting process and his audition process. I've heard him go into some stuff before. And obviously, he's been in his fair share of DC and Marvel projects as well. But it's amazing that you have all these connections. You were able to say, hey, let's do this. And you've got some great talent other than yourself and your husband in this movie.
Thank you. Yes, like I said, we really had to look around and see who was at our disposal. And so we definitely used our community a lot, from our talented voiceover community to people who already had booths, especially because we were doing ADR remotely. Then to just our friends. And Glenn is one of my husband's best friends.
Oh, cool.
I think they met on Transformers years and years ago, the first movie.
Yeah, that's right.
My husband dies in that. I mean, spoilers, but you've had a minute.
Right.
Yeah. That blows up at the base at the beginning, I think. But yeah, fun times. We have weird lives. It's fine.
Weird in a good way, though. It sounds like the best possible kind of weird, honestly.
It's pretty fun. There's definitely, Comic-Con centric, which we have another one coming up.
That's right.
They're starting back up again. Oh my gosh.
I know.
I don't know if I'm ready, but we're gonna jump in and we're gonna do a panel at LA Comic-Con on Sunday, I believe, with the ladies of Resident Evil.
Very nice. Yeah, and that's another thing too. I love I was looking over your resume, and it's like, oh my gosh, she's been in so many cool projects. You got to do all the voice work for the Resident Evils, and obviously, I think Grand Theft Auto 5, you were voices in that. Red Dead Redemption 2. But it's got to be a lot of fun when you've got your niece or nephew or whoever is playing video games. I'm like, that's me doing that right there. That's my voice.
It's wild. I will say my kids, I have 2 boys, they do not care yet, mostly because I'm not in things that they like to watch.
Okay.
They're just like, oh, why are you being loud? Or I'll be in my booth back there hidden in the wall, kind of, it's a secret door.
Oh.
And they're like, what, are you okay? I'm like, mommy's just being a goblin. We're fine. Yeah, weird lives for sure. But it's so fun. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I mean, part of making this film with this impossible setup of, leads as 2-man crew and no script and things over the course of an actual pregnancy was so that if I could do this, if I could climb this bonkers hurdle, then hopefully it would inspire some other people to look at their impossible goals or, next to impossible and be like, yeah, maybe I'll try. And maybe I will try.
Yeah, with all the stuff you had to do, all the hats you wore, they had to have either, if you didn't have the skills, you had to learn them. So now that's kind of more tools in your belt. So it's got to make you just kind of, you almost leveled up your game when you think about it.
I hope so. I certainly had to learn a lot, but I will appreciate the heck out of a crew next time I have one. And no one in sound needs to worry that I'd be encroaching on their jobs. I have no desire to do that or DIT or any number of other bits, but we could do it. It just is a lot to do it all.
No kidding. So are you one of those people who can walk away from a job like, okay, this is it? Or in the back of your head, like even when it's being shown at the festivals, you're like, I should have fine-tuned that, or, oh, I wish the lighting had been different. Or can you let it go once it's out of, in production and up on the screen?
Yes. No, I feel like every director would probably tweak until the end of time if given the opportunity. And I am keenly aware of all the areas where had I a professional crew, a professional in various departments to make up for all of my blind sides, it would where it could have leveled up or where I'd like to level it up or ideas to change it. But no, I think it ended up where it needed to be for now. And it's such a weirdly, uniquely situated for the moment film. I certainly didn't plan it that way, but we will have some very exciting news for people who want to see it globally shortly. And oh my gosh, yeah, it sometimes doesn't quite feel real. Like we actually got this done.
Yeah,
it's done. But I have that thing that all artists have, where you second guess yourself ad nauseum. So I'll watch it and be like, I'm so proud of this. And then a day or two will go by and be like, oh, is it good? Is it awful? I don't know. And then you see it again and you're like, wait, no, I like it. I'm good. But, all it takes sometimes is another phone call to lift our spirits, us weirdo actors and artists on this creative ride.
With the different hats you wore, actor, writer, director, is there one that you felt the most comfortable with? Obviously, it's a docu-series, so it's not like you're acting and everything like that, but at the same time, is it like, ooh, I don't think I'd want to direct anymore? Well, I don't think I want this part of the job anymore.
Definitely not DIT or sound.
Right.
We could trade those off for sure. But I mean, acting is my first love, I guess, and I'm lucky enough to not have to give her up entirely.
Right.
I think I'll always have multiple irons in the fire and kind of push back against the pickling mentality overall. But directing's a new love, and I say that, and yet it wasn't until I actually was sitting. I'd already directed this, and it was in post production before I realized I actually had directed enough things to put together a directing reel before this. I just hadn't really, realized it because it was usually directing out of necessity because we just needed to get it done, and I can just handle it. That's fine, as opposed to seeing myself as a director. And I think this really allowed me to embrace that side of storytelling and to like to sit in that chair too. So I have some exciting things in the pipes in that regard that will kind of marry some of my voiceover video game and directing loves, and we'll see.
Oh, very
how they
nice.
turn out, but
Very cool.
yeah.
And it's interesting because we've talked to some other people who both write and direct, and they felt like, you know, there weren't parts out there for them or that they wanted to see, and so by necessity they're writing it, and then after I've written this, I may as well direct it too to kind of complete my vision. So the writing and directing, did you feel that kind of went hand in hand anyway?
For this particular project, we knew it had to.
Well,
I mean, just the gimmick or the hook, you know, was built in to the recipe to make sure that we could kind of do this thing. But I will say I am able to happily hand off whatever hat needs handing in positions on a per project basis, because I have different loves for different things that I've done. Like if I'm writing one particular script, it might be that I'm ready to see someone else's take on it. Or if I think it would be really cool to take on someone else's script and direct that in the future too. But then there's going to be other projects that I'm well aware are going to be far too close to my heart that I just need to make mine and make sure that it ends up being what I have in my head or my heart. But it's all just sitting around the campfire, right? And telling stories like we used to do hundreds of thousands of years ago. It's just evolved with new technology and medium. So it's sort of the same vein. I just, I like a lot of the different hats.
Why not take them all on too if they're there, right?
Unless you have a team that can do some of them better, yes.
Right. So I know you said you've got some other stuff that's coming up. Is it stuff that you can't talk about at the moment that you kind of want to just put off? Can you give us any teases at all? Since we know each other, we go way back.
Right. Okay. Everybody else earmuffs.
Go ahead. Don't listen.
I am chomping in my tongue so hard. There are 2 or 3 things that I am so over the moon excited about to be starting in 2020 and even a little bit in December. But I officially, I believe they've signed 3 or 4 of my children, and I only have 2 so far. So, you know, I gotta
Understood.
Sure I stick to that NDA for now.
Understood. Well, maybe when they are available, like I said, I'd love to have you back on because this has been just fun catching up. And then to know that you've been so successful and you've done this great project. And I can't wait for people to see it. And again, if you're listening, you want to check out Delicate State. It is screened Saturday, November 20th at 2 p.m. at the Tivoli and online. Check out Paula's website, official Paula Rhodes, RHODES.com. And remind me, Twitter and Instagram, you're active on social media as well?
I am. Yeah, you can find me at Paula_Rhodes on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm old enough to have gotten all the same handles across all of them.
That worked out so well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This has been an absolute delight. I'm looking forward to having you back in St. Louis for this brief time. And next time you see Yuri, tell him James said hello.
I absolutely will.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of the night.
Thank you. And thank all of you. Have a good season.
You too. Take care. There she goes, Paula Rhodes. Yeah, seriously, check this out because I think it's a great film. It's going to resonate with a lot of people on a lot of different levels. So we'll have a link in the show notes. But you can go to the SLIFF Cinema St. Louis website to get tickets and everything like that, or go to the Tivoli if you're in the area locally. We're going to take another quick commercial break. We're going to come right back talking to Mr. Bret Hoffman all about the movies that you still should put on your must-see list for 2021 and the ones coming up for 2022. Stand by.
Sit and Spin, the indoor-outdoor take-along spinning toy.
Wow! You can spin like 1, spin like 2. How you spin is up to you.
Sit and Spin, you put it together. From Kenner's Discovery Time.
I love nuzzling up to you, Wind Whistler. You're so soft. So soft, my little pony. My little pony is so soft to touch. I love the way you feel, my so soft pony.
Paradise, Shady, Wind Whistler, Ribbon, Lofty, each sold separately.
You're so soft.
So soft, My Little Pony. Shady and other So Soft ponies sold separately from Hasbro.
Supernatural! Now you can join the battle between brave Lionheart and evil Skull and their eerie ghostlings.
Lion, you're dying. Now, Master.
They change to fight with ghostly might. Turn them into the light and they change into even more powerful creatures.
Now, the lion in me is free. Take this.
Supernaturals. Lionheart, Skull, and Ghostling sold separately. New from Tonka.
H-I-T-S-D-I-A! Something! And an amplifier too! But you don't need drums to make these sounds! It's true! Hit six! Hit six! Play 'em in the air! You can play...
Design it and build it, and check them out in person or at homesbywhitaker.com.
Hey, this is Dave Desmalchin. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
Welcome back to Geek to Me Radio. You know, we love talking movies on this show, and there's no one we love talking about with them more than my next guest. Mr. Bret Hoffman is the director of marketing for Marcus Theaters, and we're always glad to have him on. Bret, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, James.
Good. Thanks for doing this. It's always great to talk to you because you're so knowledgeable about movies and you've got all this inside information that we don't usually get. So this is great. And I know we've got a lot to discuss as far as some of the movies that we've liked recently and as well as some of the upcoming stuff that we still have to look forward to in 2021.
Yeah, most certainly. Lots of great stuff out there and lots of stuff for us to talk about because the slate is absolutely loaded when we look into this Thanksgiving and this Christmas season at the movies.
Absolutely. I know one that everyone's talking about is Ghostbusters because that's highly anticipated. I know the last one from 2016 got very mixed reviews. Some people hated it, some people loved it. But this is kind of going back to its roots, the original kind of idea. And I think they're taking it in a very interesting direction.
Yeah, Ghostbusters Afterlife. I saw this movie in late August at the CinemaCon convention. And let me tell you, I've been dying to discuss this in depth with other moviegoers, to discuss it with you. And I still have to hang on for just a little while because I can't give anyone any spoilers on this movie.
Okay.
However,
all right,
I can tell you this much, that everyone is going to enjoy this movie. And I thought they did an absolutely tremendous job putting out a film that would be loved by both older fans of Ghostbusters and also new fans as well, because they really walked the tightrope here. They wanted to give fans something from the original that they could cheer for, but they also wanted to make this movie something so that there'd be future characters that might be able to split off and go their own way as well. I'll tell you, Jason Reitman he follows right in the footsteps of his father in this one. And the movie is just simply fun. It's really fun. You got to go watch this in a movie theater. You got to go see it. James, it's really the movie that I've been waiting for since the first one came out because I'm critical of number 2.
Yeah.
I never liked it that much. 2016, I'm actually not that critical of that movie except for it's just not a continuation of the original Ghostbusters. This one's going to make everyone happy that goes and sees it. And frankly, I'm a little surprised at some of the critics' reviews that have come in because I can tell you, the movie that I saw, I was thrilled by, and there were hundreds of other people in the auditorium with me that laughed, they cried, and they loved every minute of what they were seeing. And we were very happy to watch it at CinemaCon a couple months ago, and I'm definitely going to be seeing it multiple times in theaters when it comes out next week.
Plus, it's got the Paul Rudd factor. I mean, has Paul Rudd been in a bad movie?
I don't think so. I'll tell you that much. And let me tell you, he is Paul Rudd in this one. If you think of how Paul Rudd is, we love him in Ant-Man. We love him in some of the other stuff that he's been in. He is great in this one as well. So, and take a look. The other thing people ask me is who comes back in this film? And I won't spoil that, but I'll just tell you, if you really want to know some details about the plot, if you really want to know some things, but have them not contain spoilers, just go on IMDb. It will tell you everything you need to know about who's coming back, kind of what's going on, but still you'll be thrilled and you'll be surprised by what you see when you go see it next week. Because there are going to be premiere shows that start in the 17th, next Wednesday, and then pretty much everywhere you'll see premiere shows on the 18th of November, next Thursday.
I'm very excited. I actually have a screening of it this coming, I guess tomorrow. Tomorrow's Monday at a Marcus Theaters locations. I'm very excited to see it tomorrow.
I love to hear what you're going to say about this one because, like I said, I enjoyed it. And right now they've got this movie pegged at making between 40 and 50 million. Gosh, I hope it does better than that because it really is a great movie. It was one of my favorite movies of this entire year.
Wow.
And let me tell you, I think people are going to love it not only the first weekend, but I think Thanksgiving weekend, a lot of people are going to go out and take the whole family to see this one.
Yeah, that's kind of actually pretty brilliant that they dropped it before Thanksgiving weekend because a lot of times they have that second weekend drop off. And if people are going out looking for a movie, that would be a great one. I think it's going to appeal to a broad base.
Oh, most certainly. Most certainly. You can't go wrong with this one. Maybe not for younger children, but there's going to be other movies like Encanto to go see if you want to go see an animated film from a younger audience.
I know another one. I didn't see the first one, but Sing 2 is coming out. I didn't see the first one, but was this? I guess it must have been good enough to order a sequel for it. So, what can people kind of expect about that?
Oh, most certainly. Universal had a lot of success with Sing 1. It came out in 2016. It was a smash hit with Matthew McConaughey playing the lead as a koala named Buster Moon. If you saw the first one, you know there's just tons of different songs in this movie that everyone loved to sing along to and to watch these animated characters dance around to. Sing 2 is no different. I can't spoil this one either, but I have seen it. It's another one that I loved, and I can tell you, there's more songs, there's more characters, and Bono is actually from U2, is one of the main characters.
Wow.
In this one. He plays this lion named Clay Calloway. He's a recluse. They're trying to get back into the music scene in this one. He does a tremendous job. The movie is very well done. And this one's going to come out on Christmas, but interesting for all your viewers to know, there are some special showings the Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend, which is November 27th. It's one day, one show only. That's November 27th. There are going to be some sneak previews that are almost a month before the actual movie comes out. And it's going to be it's a tremendous movie. I'd go see it early. Go see it those almost 3.5 weeks early because then it comes out on December 22nd. But when you look at who's in this movie, I told you about Bono. You got Matthew McConaughey, Taron Egerton, Reese Witherspoon, Nick Kroll, Scarlett Johansson, Pharrell Williams. The list goes on and on and on. Universal really has a gem here. And let me tell you, I don't think it's going to end with Sing 2. I think you're going to see a Sing 3 and you may see a Sing 4 because it's that good. And what's really nice about this movie is, you can bring a very young child out to see this movie. I took my 5-year-old and he was thrilled to watch an early sneak with me of this movie. And that can go all the way up to the grandparents. And everyone's going to love it because there's some great music in it. And also some great voice talent in this one as well.
The singing movies like that, like Pitch Perfect, I think got 3 movies, so there's no reason why we shouldn't expect a third one from Sing. If the first one did that well and this one is on track to do as well, given pandemic levels and whatnot.
Oh, yeah, and there's plenty of music they still can roll out there and have people sing along to. So there's going to be plenty of work for plenty of different material that they can use on this one. But Sing 2, it's going to be an absolute blast, and it's going to do very well over that Christmas season when it gets released.
Another one, too, just for that St. Louis connection, I know that the Kurt Warner biopic is going to be out. It's not out yet, but it's coming out soon. And I just saw Kurt Warner and his wife on one of the local news stations talking about the movie. So that should be kind of a fun thing for especially us here in the St. Louis area to go and see.
That's right. Actually, right behind me, actually.
Yeah.
So American Underdog, it comes out this holiday season, actually comes on Christmas Day. They're likely going to have some preview screenings a little bit earlier if people want to go see it a little earlier. But I actually had the opportunity to meet Kurt and Brenda Warner last week. They were in St. Louis promoting the film. Let me tell you, they are just tremendous people, very nice people. When you think about what this movie is based upon, this is based on them as a couple and their relationship and just the adversity they faced. Just with Kurt, he literally goes in this movie. It's a movie about him going from stocking shelves at the local Hy-Vee to being an NFL quarterback and a Super Bowl MVP, and takes you through that whole improbable journey. And what I really think is going to attract audiences to this, especially in the Midwest area, is because it takes place all over from his time at the Hy-Vee stocking shelves to his time with the Iowa Barnstormers. He has a little bit of a stint at a Green Bay Packers training camp, and then basically is going to be with the St. Louis Rams, where he eventually won that Super Bowl. But it's a tremendous movie by the fact that it's a drama and it's about him and Brenda's relationship, which I think will draw a lot of people out. And it's also a sports movie.
Yeah.
So it's got a little something for everyone that I think this holiday season, you'll see people that are from middle school age to all the way up to grandparents going out and seeing this movie together as a family. But it really is something special. And I think for your listeners, and knowing that a lot of them are from St. Louis, they're really going to enjoy watching this unfold and watching those seasons of The Greatest Show on Turf
Yes.
come out again. It's funny. When I saw the movie, it's interesting. That occurred in like the late 90s. And it's funny how dated that actually looks now, but it's only, a little over 20 years, away. But it really is a fun movie. Kurt Warner is a stand-up guy, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how audiences react to that one.
And if I understand, Zachary Levi does a great job portraying Kurt too. It's like, I guess they, I like everything I've seen Zachary Levi in, but it sounds like even Kurt Warner said, yeah, that was a really good job of being me.
Yeah, what's really interesting is watching this because Anna Paquin plays Brenda Warner and then Zach Levi plays Kurt Warner. I can tell you after meeting both Kurt and Brenda and then watching the film, man, did they cast this right, because I saw elements of both of them come out as they were playing these characters. So they definitely did a great job on that. I know Kurt was very warnest and said, he had Zach Levi over to the house. They showed him how to throw a spiral. They kind of gave him some insights on things. But that's essentially what Anna Paquin and Zach Levi really did. They really channeled those two characters. They really got into what their relationship was about and but the fact that they had to be there for each other, because this was not the story of someone that gets drafted in the first round and instantly starts and is a successful quarterback. This is probably once every few decades, something like this happens, that an undrafted player, through some unforeseen circumstances, in this case, it was a Trent Green injury that got into the starting lineup, happens to be playing in the Super Bowl and be an MVP. So really fun to watch this. You look at some of those great sports movies that you love to watch, whether it's Hoosiers or some other film, and you talk about the underdog. And that's really what this is. It's the title of the movie, American Underdog. Everyone likes cheering for an underdog, whether it's a relationship or actually cheering for that sports team. And that's what this movie's about.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see that one as well. A lot of good movies coming up. We're going to talk about some of the other movies that are on the slate, and we're also talking a little bit about some of the movies that we've seen that or might be on our list for either worst movies or best movies so far of 2021. Are you okay to stick with us through a commercial break?
Yeah, let's do it.
Perfect. We're going to take another quick commercial break. We're going to come right back, chat more with Bret Hoffman all about the movies from Marcus Theaters. Please stand by.
This pet shop even dress up like other animals. So if you see us in your neighborhood and you find out we're not what you think we are, you're the best bunny ever. Purr? You're not a bunny. You're a cat. Don't tell, okay? Don't worry. It'll be our secret.
The Pretenders from Fisher-Price. Squeeze them and they really purr.
Wampa! Hoss Wampa Cave! Look's inside! It connects to Hoss Iron Cannon.
Introducing Hoss World, 3 play sets in 1, new from Star Wars Micro Collection line. 19 die-cast figures and action poses included.
Closed doors. Raised tower. Activate Iron Cannon. Connected to Hoss generator attack. Scoutwalker's hit. Target generated. The world of Hoss is now! Yeah!
Hoss World from Star Wars Micro Collection line. Play sets also sold separately, figures included, new from Kenner.
You can wish upon a star fairy.
I've been so busy granting wishes, I'm tired. Well, let's fly home to the land of wish come true, and you ride Lavender.
Lavender, the magical unicorn, Jazz and True Love, each sold separately.
Mom left at the clouds. Now Lavender needs to be brushed. She's beautiful. Your turn to ride. 'Cause the only thing more fun than flying is flying a Lavender.
Lavender, the magical unicorn, and Star Fairies, each sold separately. From
/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Arthur Burkhart, an actor from your past, and you're listening to a great show, Geek to Me Radio. Stay tuned.
I want to give a shout out to Arthur Burkhart. If you got to see, we did a quick impromptu live stream earlier in the week If you're already a fan of Geek to Me Radio, hopefully you're following the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, and the Twitch TV and things like that, so you can see these when they come up, because this just kind of spontaneously happened. He's going to be doing a Toy Con that I want to mention, Retro Toy Con in Greenville, South Carolina, this coming weekend. A week from today, it'll be the 19th through the 21st. You can go to Retro Toy Con on Instagram. It'll have all the links to what you can do there. Arthur Burghardt will be there. Francois Chow will be there, who we've actually had on the air before. Dan Gilvizan, who does a lot of voice work. And, of course, we have Keone Young, the voice of Storm Shadow from G.I. Joe. But if you're a toy collector, if you're an 80s and 90s fan of the animation and the cartoons, it's going to be a great weekend. So go check them out at Retro Toy Con. Just thought I'd give that a little plug. Arthur, one of the nicer human beings I've ever had the chance to meet, and I wanted to give him a little shout out for his convention. We're talking with Mr. Bret Hoffman, the director of marketing for Marcus Theaters. We were talking a little bit about movies that have come out. One that just came out that's kind of a bit of a controversy, because people thought it was going to be a great movie and it was going to be all these accolades, and even the critics didn't care for it as much as was predicted, was Eternals. I'm interested, Bret, to hear your thoughts on the movie.
Yeah, and I'm interested to hear your, James, because I went out, I saw Eternals, and I think the challenge with Eternals is it's the most unlike Marvel movie that you will have seen up until this point. Mm-hmm. And I think that's challenging because people are used to a certain formula, and this is definitely a little bit different flavor of Marvel picture that people are going to go see. You know, I saw it and I actually really enjoyed the movie. I saw it because I thought this expands things a little bit more. It allows them to go in a few more directions. And of course, I think they've been great about doing that as they've introduced new characters and new plot lines throughout this whole universe that they brought to us. My only criticism of it, and I'd love to hear what you think, is that I thought it was a little too long. The movie clocks in at almost 2 hours and 40 minutes. And I thought actually they could have probably made this a 2-hour movie, a 2-hour, 15-minute movie. That's my only real criticism about it. Otherwise, you're going against a stacked deck when you're going against the pedigree of some of those Marvel films, especially some of those last Avengers movies that were so good at the end. When you're looking at the original Black Panther, when you're looking at Avengers Endgame, when you're looking at Avengers Infinity War, that's a very stacked deck to go up against. However, I did think that it was very ambitious. I thought actually that the film held up well, and I think in coming years, I think people come to appreciate it more once they see the results of this and once they see these characters kind of get inserted into other storylines down the road.
Yeah, I overall, it wasn't by any means a bad movie, and a lot of people were critical of it for just kind of weird reasons, I thought. But I do agree with you. It was kind of a longer movie, and I think one of the things that it had working against it is it wasn't like any other Marvel movie, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad because everyone, one of the critics is, all DC movies are just cookie cutter. Well, you really can't say that anymore, but it also kind of bucked the formula. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there. I thought they could have maybe pulled 1 or 2 characters out that were kind of maybe didn't need right at the moment. I thought introducing 10, almost 12 new characters in one shot was kind of a daunting task. So I can forgive the runtime because they needed it to introduce all those characters. I like the backstory, but I was missing, this is the Eternals, if you're a comic book fan and you're listening right now, you missed that Kirby crackle, had that Jack Kirby artwork that you think of when you think of the original Eternals, and I was kind of hoping to see some of that in there. While visually stunning, it just didn't nail the Kirby aesthetic that I was kind of hoping would show up. So what I said to a friend, it's the best Justice League movie that Marvel's ever made. That's the best way I could put it.
Yeah, I could see that way. Although I'll tell you this much: what really got my hopes up, as most of these Marvel films now, it's no secret there's 2 end credit sequences, and that just pumps you up for what they could possibly do with this going forward.
Right.
So I suppose we've definitely got some great hope that they're going to be doing some wild things down the road based on those end credit scenes.
So you've been in the business, kind of how this all works and everything like that. With it kind of almost underperforming from what they thought it was going to be, in your mind, do you think that merits an Eternals 2, or they might kind of break the characters off, do a Disney Plus series, kind of have some characters show up in Guardians, some characters show up in Thor? What do you think personally about whether or not this warrants a sequel?
Well, I think all the above is going to happen because they have such a strong pedigree. They are so invested in all these characters. You're going to see these characters appear throughout the Marvel Universe, in my opinion. I mean, I don't have the inside track on this, but I think that's what's going to happen. I also think down the road you're going to see it in Eternals 2 just because they've got so much invested in this. And I think once people become more familiar with these characters and see them inserted in other storylines, they're going to want to see a second Eternals.
I've already said online, I've made it known, I want a Kingu and Karen miniseries on Disney Plus because those were my two favorite characters. How he just kept pulling out those cameras that kept getting smaller.
Yes.
And Sprite was even like, how many cameras do you have? But I want to see that interplay with them, the backstory of Karun almost thinking that he was a vampire and trying to stake him through the heart. And I want to see that story. Those two were fascinating characters. I love them both.
Yeah, you're right. We could see a miniseries of just them because the comic relief that they provided really made parts of that movie. And although it was long, they really helped keep it going with that aspect.
Yeah, I agree. And talking about comical, before we move on to holiday movies again, we'll talk for a moment about Venom 2. This was probably my lowest rated movie that I saw all year long. I mean, I can appreciate it for what it was, but it was a miss for me. I think they could have done a hard R rating on that, dialed back the humor a little bit and kind of made it more Venom and Carnage-like. But overall, this was not a movie. I was excited to see it because I like the look of Woody Harrelson and him as an actor I appreciate. But I think I ended up giving this movie like 3.5 out of 10. What were your thoughts on it?
You know, surprisingly, it's done very well at the box office. It just crossed $200 million.
Yeah.
This was a movie that I thought was interesting. I just said I thought Eternals was a little too long. Venom Let There Be Carnage I thought was a little too short. It clocks in at an hour and 37 minutes. But it goes so quick. And I thought they could have spent more time developing the characters. And also I thought in the end, I thought they could have built Carnage up a little bit more than what they did.
I agree.
Well, I don't really want to ruin it for anyone, but I hope most of your fans have actually seen this movie, given the fact that it's made over $200 million. But I just thought that Carnage should have been a bigger challenge for Venom throughout the whole picture. And that's just me coming at from a little bit of an outsized perspective. So overall, was it a good time at the movies? Yeah, it was a fun hour and 37 minutes. But I think some things were incomplete for me. And I'll tell you, I think they could have made it a little bit better with a little more work and a little more time in the picture.
Yeah, well said. That's obviously you can't argue with the money aspect. They'll probably get a Venom 3 out of it as good as it's performing. And I loved, again, not to spoil the movie, but there was the credits, the end credits teaser. That was worth seeing the movie for right there.
Oh, most definitely. Like I said, all these Marvel films, you stick around because it's worth the price of a minute just to watch the credits. And you never think about a movie like that, but it certainly is that they're able to pack into those.
And I know we're coming up on the Christmas holidays. I want to run through some of the ones that we've got to look forward to real quick. We mentioned like Sing 2, but Spider-Man No Way Home. I can't imagine this movie probably being the highest grossing movie since the pandemic, just based on all the stuff they're throwing in there, the excitement for the Marvel movies and everything like that. This is probably going to be, in my opinion, it's going to set a bar for post-pandemic box office.
It is tracking to be the #1 movie of the year, and that might it might have to split in between late 2021 and 2022, the way it comes out on the 17th of December. But Sony is doing a great job teasing this. They're definitely showing some restraint. They just first put out the poster last week. And when you think about that, you think about a movie where they've really kept this secret. They've really buttoned it up. And this whole concept of the multiverse is likely going to blow everyone's minds because this movie is too important for Marvel not to do right. They have too much invested in this going forward. But this whole aspect of the multiverse, the whole aspect of how much are they going to throw at us, really has us all thinking. I don't know anyone that knows exactly what's going to go on during this film, but as you mentioned, I think it's going to be the #1 movie of the year at the box office.
And with Christmas coming up, there's always, people always ask, well, what are your top holiday movies and things like that? Do you have a top 5 holiday movie list?
You're talking about classic holiday movies?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I do. Let me tell you what they are. So I'll go in order. Number 5 would be Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Just absolutely love that movie. It's one of the few Thanksgiving movies. And I think what's really interesting about that one, James, is it's really got a good holiday message. And that tells you the person next to you on a plane, the person you see at a train station, you never know what they're going through, and what can you do to make someone else's life more extraordinary or just help them out, because you never know what that person's going through.
Yeah.
But obviously, Steve Martin and John Candy were just tremendous in that one, obviously.
Definitely. And we give a shout out because part of that was shot in St. Louis, and they actually had to blow in snow because it was evidently very hot that December. They actually had to bring in fake snow for that scene. But what are your others list? How does it round out?
I'll go with The Christmas Story. It's nostalgic. It's timeless. It will go forever. Elf, believe it or not, is number 3 for me. It has grown on me. The first time I remember seeing it, and I enjoyed it. And it just takes over year after year after year. It's become a classic. We show it every year on our big screens. We're going to show it again this year. So Elf has one that's grown on me. Number 2 for me is a little bit of a dark horse, but it's Scrooged. It's that modern retelling of Dickens' A Christmas Story with Bill Murray. And it's a really special movie, and Bill Murray does a great job. And the number 1 for me is a movie that you could put on repeat, and I might be able to watch it for several days straight and never grow tired of it. And that's, of course, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. This was Chevy Chase just at the peak of his game. This was a perfect movie I think everyone can relate to because, of course, of course, it's a little out there and it's a little dramatic, but everyone can relate to having relatives over. Everyone can relate to trying to wait for that Christmas bonus. Everyone can relate to some of the humor in this film. So just like the original regular Vacation, I think Christmas Vacation is another one that is just a special movie. And that's why that's probably my number 1 Christmas film of all time. What about you, James? Which ones are your favorites?
Yeah, Christmas Vacation, that's one of the ones that's always on my playlist for the holiday season. It's one of the most quotable, I think, of any of the vacation movies, too. I mean, we'll just always, fix the Knoll post if something breaks in the house or something like that. I definitely think Scrooged is on there. That movie will always make me adore Carol Kane, even more than seeing Taxi and everything else as the Ghost of Christmas Present. That movie just always makes me laugh. I showed it to my wife for the first time. She'd never seen it last Christmas, and she loved it. I think it got a lot of appeal there as well. One of my favorite Christmas carols is actually Scrooge, the musical with Albert Finney. And Sir Alec Guinness plays Jacob Marley. So those of you listening might know Obi-Wan Kenobi. Sir Alec Guinness plays Jacob Marley. And that's a fantastic movie. I watch that every year, too. I will say It's a Wonderful Life. I get a little choked up on that one. It's just that Christmas feeling, and it's universal. And I love how the backstory of that was panned horribly when it first came out. The critics gave it low ratings, and it wasn't until, I think, the 70s that became the kind of beloved Christmas classic we know it to be now. And I'd say for the number 5 on my list, and I always get flack from this from half of my friends, I'm going to have to put The Nightmare Before Christmas, because half my friends say that's a Halloween movie. And they're like, no, it is a Christmas movie, because it's kind of like people argue about Die Hard, whether or not Die Hard's actually a Christmas movie, which I'll nail you down now, Brett. Do you think Die Hard's a Christmas movie?
We can have these arguments. There are 2 movies that people say are Christmas movies that I say they aren't, even though they're great movies. One of them is Die Hard.
Okay.
The other one is Gremlins.
Oh.
And the reason is they're both great movies, but I don't think a movie, just because it takes place during the holiday season, should be considered a Christmas or holiday movie. Now, I love Die Hard. I love Gremlins. I just don't think they capture the spirit like some of the movies that you say. You mentioned that classic, It's a Wonderful Life. That should be on everyone's list. Also, White Christmas is another one that should be on everyone's list.
Yeah.
But the films I mentioned, the films you mentioned, those are Christmas movies. They have that special message, and they have something to do with the season. They just don't happen to take place during the season like Die Hard or Gremlins.
Right.
But hey, if you want to watch those over the holidays, make it your tradition, because whatever you want to make your tradition, that's what's important. And it's just important to enjoy a film with the ones you love during that time as well.
Well said, well said. And as we're wrapping up here, we've only got a couple minutes left. What can people, I know you guys, I saw on the marcustheaters.com website, you've got that thing where you get a percentage back if you buy a gift card for people. Gift cards are great because if you're watching this right now and you're like worried about the supply chain shortage, gift cards always go a long way, and you're giving the gift to movies. So I always recommend gift cards as a practical gift. But what else? I know you said Elf will be showing. What else can people expect from Marcus Theaters for the holidays?
Yeah, that's right. We have a holiday classic series coming up where we've got some great product coming out. We've got Elf, we've got A Christmas Story, we've got National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation and Polar Express. Those will be playing at most of our theaters. Otherwise, we've got some other holiday classics that we're sneaking in there as well. it should be a special time to go back. We're going to be showing those classics the first 2 weeks of December. So check us out those first 2 weeks of December. We're bringing back all kinds of holiday classics. You mentioned the fact that we got 15% off gift cards right now. Go ahead and stock up on those gift cards. As you mentioned, you don't have to worry about the supply chain. You can always rely on them being there for you. And right now, they're easy to give. You can go and grab a physical card. You can order a physical card. We'll have it sent to you. Or we can just send you an e-gift card that you can email to someone no matter where they are. So that's a great way to give a gift. And let me remind everyone, there are a ton of great movies coming out, not only this Christmas season, but also next year. So there's a ton of things coming back. The big screen is back. And hey, go out and see one of these movies at a theater, because I'll tell you, I've watched a lot of these movies, both in the theater and at home. And I'm a little biased, but I can tell you, they certainly don't live up to the experience at home as they do on that big screen, watching a movie with other people in a big screen auditorium.
I will agree. I saw No Time to Die at the Ronnie's IMAX, and there's that you can't replicate that at home. Everyone was, you kind of had those gasps coming from some people during certain parts. But that's again, that No Time to Die too. We should mention it's a great movie to see in IMAX. Bret Hoffman, tell people where they can find you if they want to keep up with you and Marcus Theaters and everything like that online.
Sure. Check us all out at marcustheaters.com. Otherwise, you can check us out on Facebook. Our handle is Marcus Theaters. You can check it out on Instagram. Our handle is Marcus Theaters. Or check us out on Twitter. Our handle is Marcus_Theaters right there. I'm part of the team. I'm the director of marketing. I have a great social media team as well. So go ahead, tell us what you think. Send us some direct messages. We'll be happy to talk to you about movies. And of course, we'd love to hear what everyone thinks about the movies that are coming out. So just say hi and let us know what you think.
Perfect. Bret Hoffman, always a pleasure to have you on. Let's do it again very soon.
We'll see you. Thanks very much, James.
Thank you. Be well. There he goes, Marcus Theaters' own director of marketing, Mr. Bret Hoffman. That's going to do it for us. Another show in the books. Thank you very much to my guests, Paula Rhodes and to Bret Hoffman. Thank you to Joey V for always making this sound as good as it does and for allowing me to see all you people on the internet. Until next week, my friends.
It's not in the way you watch The Flash. It's not in the way you love Scotty Young art. It's not in the way you play Mario Kart. It's not in the way you look when you make Game of Thrones references. That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio. That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio.
Thank you, Los Angeles. Good night.